Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast in which we smash apart the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute chunks so we can analyze them in scrupulous detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Road to Infinity podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco, and I worked for one, if not two summers at the post office.
Did you?
Yes. My father, I love my dad. Hi, Dad. He worked at the post office as a trainer basically for like 25 years.
Okay.
And he, high school,
Sure.
get a part-time job working at the post office. So why do I bring that up? Because the post office, what are the craziest things you've ever seen people send or ship in the bowels of the post office? There's two things. One, live bait.
Okay.
Boxes of crickets.
All right.
Alive. Would totally blow my mind because they had little like screens on the side. You could see them crawling around because they had to breathe.
Okay.
And light bulbs.
Light bulbs.
And light bulbs in just simple boxes. I may have to admit that there was one summer I don't think a single light bulb made it to a customer unbroken. Because I think I would be like, oh, where's this going? To Wanda? For $3! Smash!
And that's why you don't work for the post office anymore.
And that's when I work for the post
I have a friend who left retail and got a job at the post office, and he's been working there for 10 years. And
Fantastic.
the thing that he was told very early on in his career is, slow down.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big thing.
I got told many times that.
Right, because the big thing with the post office, there's a reason we're talking about post office, so we'll get to it.
Oh, yeah, this whole episode, yes.
Yeah. The big deal, and when you're a postal carrier, and that's the official position is postal carrier, is that you have a route. And so basically it's like these 4 blocks or whatever are your route. And every day you deliver mail to those specific places over and over again. And so like to have a regular route is the dream. Like that's what you want. And so people go on vacations, people go out of town, and so he would have to take over routes. He was a scab essentially for the first couple of years where you'd have to take over people's routes. And he would get it done. It'd be noon and he'd be finished with the route. And so he'd come back to the depot like, all right, what's next? They're like, what? Why are you back? And so when people come back, they'd be like, dude, you have your route and you'd spend all day doing your route, whether it actually took all day or not.
Now, my brother, love my brother will tell you a different story of that when you were the person who was the temp, right? Sometimes you wouldn't understand how the route worked.
Of course.
And instead of getting done early, you would be out delivering the mail at 9 o'clock at night.
That's
because
right.
Here's the deal.
Neither
the mail,
rain nor sleet.
Well, plus the mail is not a thing we're like, well, let's see how far you get today. No. Here's the mail you're delivering today. Don't come back until it's delivered.
That's right.
So that can go either way. For those people who live in Phoenix, a community that is on a grid,
yes,
that's a much easier proposition than other places.
That's true. It has its own challenges because there are roads that stop and then 5 miles later they just start again.
Right. Or they curve around.
Yeah.
All right, so wait.
There's that.
So
shout
the
out to all
mail.
the postal carriers out there. You're doing a hard job, and we appreciate it.
Way to go.
Why we talk about this? Because in minute 13 of Louis Leterrier's 2008 film, The Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner is going to visit a post office.
And hopefully none of you are handling gamma-radiated blood samples. Anyway, I digress.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So as we left our hero, he was dejected. He was despondent. He was another D word that means sad.
Yes.
He had used all of the Cora Blanca and tried it on his cells, and it did not work. He had another failure is what he said. So he now has to report back to Mr. Blue that it's still not working. So the question is, how much of it did you use? All of it. So then Mr. Blue says, then let's escalate this. It's time to get serious about this. It's time for us to meet.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know if Mr. Blue knows where Mr. Green is geographically.
Right.
I mean, he knows about getting the plant. And so obviously if you're in Siberia, it'd be a lot harder to get Cora Blanca than it is here in Brazil. But I don't know if he knows. He knows he's far away, I would guess, but I know. What are your thoughts? Do you think he knows even what country, even what region of the world he's in?
No, but I don't know. I think it's clear it doesn't matter, right?
Oh, okay.
I think the point is wow, for what you're dealing with, and for what my study is and how those fit together.
Yeah,
I don't care. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
We've got to get together and find out what's going on.
Yeah, and he says it's time to meet. And he says not safe. Now that's interesting because it's not safe for Bruce to travel, obviously,
right.
But it's probably not safe to be around him because he could Hulk out and hurt you.
Right.
So, I mean, I always find that interesting that, this is a recurring thing that comes up. They don't ever make it explicit that I remember, but it's always this implicit thing of he's protecting other people by not being around them.
Right. And something I think that it hasn't. We'll get into this. Who is he actually hurt? Because that's still kind of not understood, and then we'll
find out. Yeah, we'll find out at least the official record. Yeah, so like he says, the guise that he's been using is basically a person who's living with gamma poisoning, which is true. He's just downplaying the extent to which his gamma poisoning is there. That's why Mr. Blue is very direct. Stop chasing flowers. Send me a blood sample. Like, I am a person who deals with this. Presumably, we don't know much about Mr. Blue's thing, but we seem like he's scientifically astute, that he knows these things. Can't help you if you won't help me, he says.
Doing his best Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire, help me, help you.
This and that, and that's plus looking at his dream board and seeing Betty over there makes he goes, you know what? All right, I'm going to take this chance. Even though we saw, this is a huge moment. Like, not only is this a turning point for the movie, but this is a huge moment for Bruce because we saw how freaked out he was about one drop.
Right.
One drop he went crazy for to make sure it didn't get out. And he's sending Mr. Blue, this person he's never met before, only knows by this pseudonym, a vial of possibly the most dangerous substance on the earth at this point. I mean, it's not super soldier serum, but it's way worse.
Through the post office.
Through the post office. That's right.
Well packaged, though.
Yeah, it's true.
I have to say,
he does a good job. So he not only gets the test tube sealed up, he labels it with his own name, which I thought was interesting. Like, this is blood from Mr. Green. But then he gets a nice styrofoam tube and then packs it inside there, and then takes that and puts that in a box, and then packages that, and then seals that box, and then sends it off to Mr. Blue in New York. P.O. Box 356. So we don't even know where in New York it is, only that it's New York, New York.
The packaging of this, though, when you'd watch this, you'd say, well, is that right? But if you talk to anybody who works at like a UPS store, does packing for a living, it's a nice big styrofoam cylinder, but the vial is a lot smaller than the space inside. Now, that's by intent.
Yeah.
You don't want to pack something where it just barely fit, because then there's no shock absorption.
Right.
You drop that box, everything it feels goes all the way. You know, if there's full contact on the test tube, then that even has a higher idea that it could break.
Right.
So,
even when they transport stuff like nitroglycerin and things, they have like these spring-loaded things, so it's actually like an egg that's surrounded by springs, so it bounces all the time, but it's not, passing the shock on inside it.
Once again, whoever managed the props for this has done a little bit of homework on packaging.
That's right. They know their stuff. And they even so he goes on there and he talks to the guy saying that he's going to send it, and then even steps out in his Marvel disguise, so no one knows who he looks like. Stops and turns around like, did I just do something really stupid?
How did I do that?
Yeah. It's like, is this the thing that's gonna expose me and cause me to go on the run again? Then they cut to the Pentagon,
which makes you go, oh. Though this will not be the blood that gets him in trouble.
It's not. But it's a nice way of getting back to oh, by the way, yes, they're him thinking, are people going to find because of this? They cut to the people who are trying to find him.
Who actually are going to find him. So this is an interesting shot. They have this great, they do this whole establishing shot of the Pentagon and at Arlington, Virginia. A couple things I love about this shot is, one, it's a gorgeous shot, this beautiful view of the landscape. The three things
sort of golden hour, it looks like.
Oh yeah, I mean this is perfect.
Towards
twilight time. But three things I think are cool is, if you pause it, you'll see on the horizon there is just this one big structure. And for those of you who've never been to DC who don't know this, that structure is Washington National Cathedral. It is one of the few structures in DC that is allowed to rise a certain level above like a 3-4 story building. Because the monuments, the Washington Monument, the Capitol, are meant to be the defining structures. But that's clear. Like, you can see a lot of shots that look north of DC, and you can always see the Washington National Cathedral. It sticks out literally like a sore thumb. And then you see the Potomac River, you see the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts as kind of like a squarish building, and then that's about at the third mark of the shot. And then at the third shot, you see this really well lit building that is the Lincoln Memorial.
Oh, okay.
You got these really cool things. Now, here's the interesting thing about the shot. This movie is filmed in 2008. This is not a shot of the Pentagon from 2008. And for the sad reason of why you would know this.
Okay.
You can notice there's a helipad on the it looks like the west side of the Pentagon.
Yep.
That is the location of the September 11th memorial. And that is the side of the Pentagon that was impacted by the airliner on September 11th.
Okay.
So the whole memorial is in that part. That helipad is gone. I couldn't even find. I don't think that helipad was there in 2001.
Wow.
I don't know where this is clearly stock footage.
High quality stock footage.
It's very high quality, looks great, but it's clearly not from that period of time. That memorial opened on September 11th, 2008, actually, incidentally, of the year this movie came out. They had been under construction. That had been a totally different area for at least, 7 years. If that was shot prior to 2000, there's no way it'd be that clear. I don't know why you'd have...
See, that's what makes me wonder.
Unless it's from a different movie.
That could be.
Oh, that'd be funny.
That's right. They pulled it from that footage or whatever. So inside the Pentagon, we come across General Thunderbolt Ross at his desk, which is festooned with things. I mean, like it's just covered with stuff, man. Like, I mean, for a disciplined military man, he's got a lot of knickknacks.
Is his first name Thunderbolt? Like official? Like it's T. It's General T. Ross on the nameplate.
No, yeah, Thunderbolt is his nickname. I think he picked it up in whatever war they had him fighting. It moves as the timeline moves. It moves then too. So I'm not sure what he is a veteran of at this in this context. Probably Vietnam.
Yeah,
I would guess.
Right.
But he's covered a bunch of stuff. And so as he's sitting there smoking indoors,
of course,
even the Pentagon, I don't think would allow that. I mean, like, that's the power.
Not anymore.
I don't think is that he's
nowhere is that allowed. Right
inside, he is handed an important piece of paper. But what's on that piece of paper? We don't know.
Wait, this is where it ends?
This is where it ends. The minute ends with him looking at the piece of paper. We don't know what's on it. We're not going to find out what's on it until minute 14.
Wait, all we know is that it's a bit more interesting.
Yes. It's a bit more interesting. Whatever he was reading before, not interesting. This new thing, a bit more interesting.
And that will come in our next episode.
That's right. We have to find out in minute 14. You'll find out what is on that piece of paper. So, all right, thank you all for listening. If you like what we're doing here, or if you like what's going on over at The Next Reel, our sister podcast, you can support us. That's right, we have our own Patreon. You get early access to all these episodes, you can watch live streams, and tons more stuff. You can learn more about it at our website, thenextreel.com/Patreon. We hope you had a smashing good time listening to us. Until next time, true believers.
Bye.